Welcome to Our Canada. Hi, I'm Bianca Jade in Edmonton, and over the next 30 minutes, I take you on a tour across our nation. We start off in Penticton, where we spend the day with a real cowboy, and then we learn about a language whose very existence is in jeopardy. We finish off our program at an Aboriginal Friendship Centre, who's starting their own multimedia program. But first, we travel to Nanaimo, where Kate Bergen introduces us to the Red Dress Project and how it is bringing more attention to missing and murdered Aboriginal women.
Imagine that each one of these red dresses blowing in the wind along the south end of the Nanaimo Parkway was worn by an Indigenous woman or child. Now imagine that woman leaving home, or that child walking to school one day and never being seen again. This is a reality in Canada. A 2012 RCMP report shows that a total of 1,181 Indigenous women and girls were murdered or went missing between 1980 and 2012. Those numbers continue to grow.
Can we stop? Sure.
Tom Rokeby is here today taking down the dresses that he and his family hung on October 4th.
If something like this happened to my daughter, I would really hope that it wouldn't be swept under the carpet, that there would be serious efforts made to come to some kind of a conclusion for these families. We can't bring them back, but closure and prevention, these things have been left aside as far as I'm concerned. There's one up here on this tree. Do you want to get it?
The Red Dress Project was an art installation created by Jamie Black, a Métis artist based in Winnipeg. Her aim was to provoke and incite dialogue. It started in 2010 and has been working its way at a grassroots level across the country ever since. Tom and his family and friends hung 10 dresses, and more have been added. It was important to him that these dresses didn't become damaged by vandalism or weather.
These women have had such little dignity. These individual dresses, they all make me think of an individual citizen that we lost. I don't want them to be up there undignified. And as soon as the weather or anything made the display not what it could be, I was determined to take it down. All right, you gonna bring that to Mom?
The RCMP report shows half of the women murdered in Canada are Aboriginal. Indigenous women and girls make up 4.3% of the Canadian female population, but 11.3% of the murdered or missing. Anissa White is with the Coordination Committee for Domestic Safety and is from the Cree Métis Nation.
I think there are a few things going on. I recently in the Truth and Reconciliation final report, what was said in respect of missing and murdered women was that there is a connection between Indigenous women, residential school, and the complex interplay of poverty and domestic violence.
And unless you've known somebody.
Anissa says there is mixed feelings about the value of a national inquiry within the First Nation community. Some feel that an inquiry would answer some of the systemic aspects of why the incidents occur and the rate at which they occur. Others feel that a solution-based inquiry would be more beneficial. Ann Taylor is the executive director at Haven Society in Nanaimo.
Well, the question I would ask people is to consider if this was 100 or 1,017 affluential white men in our culture, would we be responding in the same way? You know, I think the other thing that's particularly important is that we're very concerned about what we call victim blaming. So we're always concerned about the ways that women in general are held responsible for violence that truly is not their responsibility. And I think the whole issue of Aboriginal missing, murdered women and girls it is probably one of the highlight examples of the ways that we in our culture blame the victim for the violence that they are victimized by.
My cousin is one of the missing women.
Both Ann and Anissa agree that events like the Red Dress Project are positive steps towards opening productive dialogue. It's something that Tom Rokeby believes all Canadians should care about.
These are all individuals. These were somebody's daughter, somebody's wife, somebody's sister, and now they're not with us. And that should concern us as Canadians. Can you bring that to Mom?
I got it.
What started out as a family project in Nanaimo grew into a community expression of caring and desire for closure. Tom plans to hang more red dresses next year. In Nanaimo for Shaw TV, I'm Kate Bergen.
Next, we'll travel to Calgary, where the Muslim Family Network Society is helping to raise funds for Syrian refugees.
In the news every now and then, and we see pictures from those refugee camps in Lebanon, in Turkey, in Jordan, and the situation where they live. I mean, and how they are suffering. I mean, it's really touching.
The people who lived here escaped with their memories, and not much else.
My family is from Syria, and we moved to Canada in 2012. We've been living there here in Calgary actually since that time. We are here, you know, safe and sound, and we can eat, we can, you know, enjoy our life. But when you think about the rest of the family, what they are suffering over there, you know, sometimes, you know, they don't have the food, they don't have the transportation means, they don't have the safety.
When I see the news, Syrian news, I'm very sad. That's make me very stressed. I cry too much. Always my husband saw me. I'm very sad.
A couple of minutes drive from the homes of several thousand people is Joba, one of the capital's key battlegrounds.
My wife's brother, he's stuck in Lebanon. He's been there for 2.5 years and suffering too much. And he has no income. His residency is temporary. My mother-in-law, she's almost lonely now in Damascus. She's getting old. There's nobody to take care of her.
الو أهلا ماما كيفك؟ شو أخباركم؟
والله الحمد لله تمام.
She gets scared when she hears, you know, explosions and things going off, you know, and we chat with her, you know, on the Facebook and those communication means, and we feel that she is really scared. She needs to be moved out of there.
Muslim Families Network Society was incepted in 2003. And we are a social service organization citywide. We organize a conference in October every year, and the reason for the conference is to address the social issues within the Muslim community. And we also raise funds. This year we have decided that we will be raising funds for Syrian families. There is a dire need to address the issue in Syria. And the people who are coming from Syria, they are fleeing from neighboring countries. If anyone wants to support the cause that we are having this conference and the reason why we are fundraising, so please go to the website. It is www.mfns.org.
I would encourage every single person who can see this and who can hear this and who can see in the news and hear about what's going on right there. If you have any way to help and extend the support, please do so. People are in real need of support.
Now grab your hat and saddle up, because we're going to turn back the calendar and follow in the steps of a real cowboy.
Alrighty. Okay, there. Go, ease. Come on, boy.
On 45 heavily wooded acres in the hills above Naramata, Roland Nutzel lives the simple outdoor lifestyle he idealized in his youth back in his native Switzerland.
Kind of started out watching Western movies back home, right? And also the mountain man who rides up in the mountains with the horses, with the pack, and that really fascinated me, and kind of chased that dream. Okay, come on, Ace. I have no need for a television. Not interested to have internet or computer, even though I see how useful that could be for researching and for get information. And it's definitely a good tool, but I still decided not to have one. I have just a simple cell phone, which I'm using for my business. Let's get that wood home.
Although Rolly spends a lot of his time working with the horses, he balks at being labeled a cowboy.
I wouldn't quite call it a cowboy. I'm not quite a cowboy. Sure, I did help branding and pushing cows a few times, but I'm not anywhere close to be called a cowboy.
Rolly has a stonemason business, a career he learned from his grandfather back in the old country. He has built this homestead with his own 2 hands, a lifestyle which keeps him pretty busy.
Otherwise, for hobby, if I don't go out packing wood, then there is something I like to do, which is robbing trains.
Robbing trains?
Yep.
I'm gonna get behind you.
I'm a member with the Garnet Valley Gang. We do, as a tourist attraction and collecting money for different charities, we do rob the Cattle Valley Railway in Summerland a few times throughout the summer. So we're holding up the train, we collect money, and then that's, at the end of the year, that money goes away on different charities throughout the valley here. It's very exciting. When we're waiting, we hear the train coming, it gives us the signal, we use the whistle twice, poop poop, and then my heart keeps pumping, and I feel the horse. I watch him. He's in adrenaline gets going, and it is huge excitement. Yeah.
From those early childhood impressions of the Wild West on the big screen, Rolly has followed his heart.
It is a dream, right? I try to picture that. As a kid, I even made a model. I made a log home, which is right over there, right? I had a horse beside the log home and had a dog beside me. And I guess somewhere way back, yeah, I was working towards that. It took me many years to finally immigrate to Canada, so I never gave up. I always tried again, and here I am, and I can say I live my dream, yeah.
For Shaw TV on horseback in the hills above Naramata, I'm Doug Brown for Go.
Down to the lake. Yeah. Across. Yes.
Language is so important for different community groups and organizations. Recently, Jonathan Horst looked at a language whose very existence is in jeopardy.
Okay, so can I hear you say stam to that?
Stam to that. I remember being in French class thinking, I don't want to be in French class. I don't want to use the space in my brain for French. I want to learn my own language.
Every week, Christine Seymour visits these Yale Secondary School students to teach the native language, Halkomelem. It's an endangered way of speaking that she hopes to bring back to life.
Learning the language, I think, is just something as a Stala person that we think about. We think about our language, we think about our grandparents. We grew up hearing the stories about our grandparents. I know my grandma was the last speaker from my family on my mom's side, and she didn't teach my mom because of her experience in residential school. She was punished for speaking the language.
It's really important. This is their language, this is their heritage, this is where they come from. And now we want the kids of today's and the generations to follow to be proud of this language and to bring it back so that it's fluent.
Okay, so stam tata and Halkomelem is what is that? And awat tata is, we're saying that is a drum.
Christine uses a unique way of teaching called Where Are My Keys, which incorporates sign language with conversational pieces to help get the students talking and then spreading it further.
The sign that we use for that looks like this.
Words that I have remembered, and then I'll teach it to my mother or my grandma or my dad.
It makes me really happy. I know what my roots are, but I really don't, at all, because we live in such a different way than how they used to. So it just gives me a little bit of that sense of how they used to live.
I see the language truly reflects our spirituality and our cultural beliefs, and how the language ties together with that is very interesting.
Learning a language isn't easy, and it means a long road ahead. But it's really important because as of right now, there's only one fluent speaker left.
It's important because a lot of kids don't get the chance to learn their own language. They either never heard of it or just never got the chance to learn it.
There's hope, though, because classes like these have inspired young students to keep practicing and connect with their roots. In Abbotsford, I'm Jonathan Horst for Go on Shaw TV.
Artists of a Ukrainian heritage now have a new place to showcase their work. Shaw TV's Jen McDonald introduces us to a new art gallery right here in Edmonton.
Artist Larissa Semblik-Chaladin is painting using a pouring technique that is commonly used in her work. Larissa is a third-generation Ukrainian, and although she was born here in Canada, her Ukrainian heritage has a large influence on her and the artwork she creates.
My parents kept the language, and when I was growing up, I attended Ukrainian school and Ukrainian dance and went to a Ukrainian church, and so it's in my blood.
Larissa's artworks reflect her Ukrainian background, sometimes directly and often in more subtle ways.
I had a show in Geneva, Switzerland. It was of flowers. There was nothing culturally specific, and yet a man asked me, due to the bright colors, did I have a Ukrainian background?
She is one of the many artists of Ukrainian heritage displaying her work in the new Alberta Culture of Ukrainian Arts Gallery.
The council has always dreamed of having a gallery, of having a boutique or an artisan boutique, an area that was permanent, was open, and the art could be displayed. And we also wanted a place where it could be a community center, and now we have that space.
The artwork displayed at the gallery is very diverse, from traditional Ukrainian folk art to contemporary art and everything in between.
Everything from, doing mosaics with tiles to watercolors, and then embroidery and writing eggs and all of that stuff. A lot of food workshops also, because food is art, and Ukrainian food is certainly a beautiful art.
This gallery is the first of its kind in Edmonton, offering a space to highlight and support the Ukrainian art community.
It just opens up the door for a lot of reasons. First, it kind of validates what we do. We've now come out of our church basements and little festivals, and we now can be represented in a gallery.
Ukrainian culture is art, and it's very, very, very important in our community. We really want to support our artists, even if it's not folk art, it's contemporary art. It doesn't matter. They're our artists, and we want to support them.
The ACUA Gallery is open Monday through Friday. In Edmonton, I'm Jen McDonald.
Up next, we travel to Central Alberta, where we look at an art gallery that was revamped for Alberta Cultural Days.
Alberta Culture Days has come and gone. Some incredible and some edible pieces of art have found new homes thanks to the Central Alberta Refugee Efforts Immigrant Art Gallery.
We have a beautiful showcase here, and it's all immigrant art. So recent immigrants, some are refugees, and it's from all over the world, from Iraq, Afghanistan, Holland, Romania, Chile, El Salvador, Peru.
Those attending had the opportunity to take a trip around the world while supporting local artists.
This has grown actually from over the last 4 years. We started with just a couple of pieces in another art show. Now we realize how much talent there is amongst our immigrants. And some of them were actually professional painters and artists in their own countries.
Often, art is used to share personal memories and tell stories. The works of art created by immigrants and refugees at this gallery is no exception.
We've got small pieces and large pieces here today. The one over here, the one of, it's a scene from Iraq. There is actually quite a story behind it. The young man that painted that one, he was a refugee from Iraq, and he's trying to preserve the history of Iraq as much as he can.
That man is Alex Al-Samurai. His story and artwork is one of a kind.
I'm originally from Baghdad, Iraq, and I started doing the art since I was a kid. That was the way that my mother kept me shut up. So she gave me a paper and a pencil, and I go into my own world and create stuff, and never stopped ever since. Most of my paintings are actually from personal experiences, and sometimes I get inspired by whatever the issue is and whatever is going on. So for example, if I'm doing a landscape from my country, it's because I would like to preserve the history of my country and the places that we're actually unfortunately losing during the war going on there.
Alex appreciates the opportunity to showcase his artwork to the community.
It's always encouraging to sell some of your paintings and stuff like that. But for me, I'm not trying to make any profit or anything. I love participating in those events because first it gets my name out as an artist, and it's just a great experience to see other artists and see their art and stuff like that. And we should have more events like that in Red Deer.
The Immigrant Art Gallery is just one of the many ways that the Central Alberta Refugee Effort helps immigrants and refugees not only adjust, but prosper in their new life in Canada.
Most of my participations came through CARE. So I think they're doing good, especially for us, as an artist coming from a different country. You find it kind of hard to, show your stuff to the public and show your art to the public. But through CARE, it's kind of encouraging. They'll give you this encouraging environment as setting up tables and everything for you. You just put your paintings on it.
For Go On Shaw TV, I'm Chloe Hoffner.
Up next, we travel to Brooks, Alberta, where many of their residents speak more than one language. Even their local fire department is multilingual.
Brooks, Alberta has been called the city of 100 hellos. According to Brooks and District Immigration Services, there are more than 60 different languages spoken in Alberta's Centennial City, with a population of just over 14,000. Immigrants from Africa and Latin America to Southeast Asia and the Middle East now make their home in the small city on the Canadian prairies. The community has a volunteer fire department made up of 32 firefighters, 8 of whom are fluent in more than one language.
It's a whole gamut of people that come from different mindsets or worlds, if you will. They come together with one common goal, and that's to help their fellow man, help their community.
Awad Kouaj is from South Sudan and has been with the fire service for 5 years. He can speak 3 languages and loves being a volunteer firefighter.
I always wanted to be a firefighter, and then when I came to Brooks and I found out that you could actually volunteer, it was one of the best days of my life.
The fire department responds to just under 400 calls per year in the central part of the county of Newell. They provide backup support to 9 volunteer fire departments. Every month, there are training exercises held to help the firefighters know their equipment and their roles in an emergency. Chaz Hahn is a community peace officer and has been a volunteer firefighter for 2 years. He can speak 4 different languages and has provided language support many times for emergency services.
We attended a MVC out on Highway 1. One of the personnel in the vehicle was from India, and India and Pakistan, they share the same languages. Unfortunately, he couldn't speak English, so that's where I stepped in, and I was able to assist him, get some information, pass the information on to my chief, pass it on to EMS, and also get a hold of the family.
Many volunteer Brooks firefighters have moved up the ladder to have full-time positions in larger centers like Calgary, Edmonton, St. Albert, and Fort McMurray. Volunteer Nicole Ferroni is one of 2 women firefighters in Brooks and has been with the department for 2 years. She's from Germany and enjoys the challenges firefighting presents.
Overcoming your fear in certain situations, like I was always afraid of heights. Now I'm going up on the ladder and overcoming all that, and just kind of makes you feel good if you overcome obstacles.
Whether English is your first or second language, the Brooks Fire Service is looking for candidates. No prior experience in firefighting is needed. Visit the City of Brooks website and click on the Employment Opportunities link for details. From Brooks, Alberta, for Our Canada, I'm David G.
A First Nation Centre in Courtenay is kickstarting a new multimedia program. They recently traveled to Victoria in hope of getting some funding for this new project.
Michael has a vision.
The Aboriginal people, the urban Aboriginal people, need a voice.
And that vision is grounded in this space.
We have so much potential.
Michael runs the Wache Friendship Center in Courtenay. And recently they've acquired some new space, an old radio station, which seems full of potential.
I can see the radio station as being an incredible opportunity.
The center has been around for 20 years now, but it has never had a multimedia program until now.
We have the broadcast booth, we have a studio mixing booth, and we have one more office that holds a pile of electronics in that we have to understand how to operate.
Michael hopes this newly acquired space will help give youth and Aboriginal people a voice that can be heard.
Hopefully people will listen and understand the situations that where we come from when we're saying that the Aboriginal population is in need of assistance and support from the federal and provincial government.
But like a lot of grand visions, it takes money to make these dreams come true. And that's not always an easy thing to do.
So we're looking basically for funding to continue programs associated with our companies.
And the BC Association of Aboriginal Friendship Centres is trying to help with the funding issue by hosting the BC Aboriginal Funding Conference.
Brings together over 50 funders from the philanthropic sector, from the government sector, and from the corporate sector who provide funds into First Nations and Aboriginal organizations. And we have over 200 delegates who have signed up.
According to Stats Canada, the Aboriginal population is growing, more so than the rest of the country. And a large percentage of this growth is attributed to Aboriginal youth, many who in a declining workforce struggle to find employment.
We are the untapped workforce of Canada. Aboriginal youth, Aboriginal people constitute 4.5%, depending where you get your statistics, of the workforce in all of Canada.
And that's why Michael is here trying to drum up funding for his multimedia program Up Island in hopes of providing skills to his students that can be transferred into the Canadian workforce.
So we have a fully operational FM radio station. We do not have a license to broadcast. Our first initiative is to get streaming online, audio and video, put them through a course that would give them the understanding of operations in a radio station and in a TV station to improve their literacy.
Of course, money is important, but the chance to network is equally as important. It's a chance to connect, face to face, and share both knowledge and experiences.
Networking is all of it. This is a great opportunity to have face-to-face time with various people. And so there's people that I've talked to on the phone or I've emailed. I've never seen them before in my life.
Another way to measure success can be found through the prism of reconciliation, a sort of economic reconciliation to help heal years of injustices.
Absolutely. Economic reconciliation is a huge part of creating a better future than the past that we've had and lifting Aboriginal people up out of poverty.
Success can be measured in many ways. For Michael, it's helping one youth or Aboriginal person at a time, helping them find their voice while providing education and training to succeed in today's workforce. For Shaw TV, I'm Tyler Hooper.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Our Canada and hanging out with us here in Edmonton. To see past episodes of this program, please check us out online. Thanks for watching. I've been your host, Bianca Jade.